Hello everyone, welcome to another video of the hardcore challenge in New World. And in this one I'm just gonna give my impressions of the challenge so far, kind of what I thought works, what I thought could probably be changed, or what I think could be changed, and how I feel about it. Let's start with that first. Overall, I think the feeling is pretty positive. Challenge is going pretty well so far. Definitely changes the dynamic of the game. Obviously not using potions is kind of one of probably those big ones where you really have to measure out if you can take an enemy or a set of enemies before you just kind of rush in there and do whatever. So that takes definitely some planning. I think in the beginning it was even more so prevalent. Right now we're level 30. We're somewhat decked out, I guess you could see. We picked up some faction gear, then some things just off of chests and rewards and stuff. Again, nothing too crazy, but not bad overall. Not bad. And I think if you look, I went for 100 dexterity and then definitely want to hit 100 constitution. That just helps with survivability. Again, this is a hardcore, so we die, we gotta start all over again or delete the character. Basically delete the character. Haven't done any seasonal content on this guy. Haven't even picked this up. So just as a reference, and it's been going really well. I think right now I'm feeling pretty powerful for the level. I basically walk into any one of the areas in North Cutlass here and then just feel pretty good. Although I will say that area that I don't like still is this Ancients area. There are just too many of them. Mob density is kind of weird, and they tend to spawn back pretty quickly, so it's more annoying than dangerous, but if you don't pay attention it can be dangerous too. What else? I said this already about the potions. Eliminating weapons. Actually, this is one of those things where I really thought it was going to make it a whole lot difficult, eliminating some of the weapons that I did with, not being able to use hatchet, not being able to use life staff or void gauntlet or sword and shield. I was really worried if I was actually going to be able to make it through all of the content, but honestly, rapier and bow, which I did not plan for, is really turning out to be powerful at this stage. Now that doesn't mean it's not going to change in the future, but as of right now, very powerful and feels very good. I'm able to complete quests really easily, and unless something really happens, there's not a lot of fear of dying, so that's really good. The other kind of a positive, which in the beginning I didn't think that it would be, is actually eliminating crafting and gathering. Just not doing those really eliminates a lot of distractions. So if your goal is to hit 60 as soon as possible, I think just not doing any of that or doing very little of crafting and gathering will speed up the process. At least that's what it seems like to me in this first 30 levels. So, alright, so here's a couple of the negatives. And negatives, not really that there's something bad, but something that's missing, maybe that could be changed if I was to do another challenge and whatnot. So one of the main ones is staying in level appropriate zones, and the biggest reason is I basically missed out on the main story quest. So now, you know, basically we did it up to level 18. After level 18, we weren't able to do almost any of it. Well, I should say not almost. We weren't able to do any of it because we had to leave the zone, so we couldn't complete this one to basically, I believe it would have, the next few would have taken us to Everfall. But it is what it is, so maybe if I was to do this again, I don't know about eliminating staying level appropriate zones, but maybe putting a caveat that only to finish main story quest. Because if you look, the other thing that actually is a negative from not doing the main story quest, I have 0 quests in Brightwood because they're not unlocked. I have 0 quests in Weaver's Fin, which, you know, level 30 I should have some. I'm level 30, nothing. So I'm hoping that that actually changes. I don't know, and I haven't looked it up. Somebody could probably look it up. Will completing all of the quests down here in Cutlass actually open up some quests in Weaver's Fin for us? Because otherwise, getting from, what is this, 36 basically to 40 is just gonna be a faction quest grind in Weavers, and that just doesn't sound fun. I can't really do any of these corrupted portals, well, because I don't have the Azot staff, so that puts me a little bit behind. But again, the challenge is about just making it to 60. If it was getting a really solid character at 60 that you can, you know, continue and make your main, you know, you would want to probably not like throw stuff out like I was throwing out, or have been throwing out, and will continue to throw out in the future, crafting and whatnot regions. So that's, I would say, really the only negative that I've found so far. I think, like I said in the beginning, overall I think the game is more enjoyable. Every bit and every encounter needs to be calculated. It's worthwhile. Every encounter is thought about. There's been several moments in several of the videos that I've made where I looked at a group of mobs and said, no, I'm not doing that. Maybe I'll come back to that, but I'm not doing that at that moment. I'll just have to take some calculated decisions to make sure to stay on top of staying alive. Now, so far that hasn't been a problem. My biggest worry for the future, for the next 30 levels, is food. Now, we're doing solid right now with food. You know, we have some, but it doesn't seem like a abundance, right? A couple of stronger encounters and the food will run out, basically. So really something to stay on top of is food, because that is our only source of returning our health. We can't do camps, and we can't do potions, so food is the only option. Otherwise, without food, it takes so long to get the health back up when you're basically fighting mobs. So I'm not saying it would be impossible, but it would be very tedious and time consuming to have to wait to get your health back up to basically go fight a second group of mobs. And in some cases you would not be able to do all of the content just because of the respawn rates. Mobs would respawn on top of you and you would basically have to run away because you can't heal fast enough. So maybe you can do the no food paired with being able to use a hatchet or being able to use sword and shield, but it's difficult, to say the least. It would still be difficult, but that's really it. I'm very happy. Like I said, so far, really happy with the challenge. I like it. I'm looking forward to the next several levels to see how things go and kind of how we finish out down here in Cutlass. And then where does that take us? Weaver's Fin or Great Cleave, or maybe a little bit of both, or Restless Shore. That's a possibility. Weaver's Fin and Restless Shore. These are all some very good options. We're obviously not going to be able to get to Brimstone Sands because we don't have Azoth staff. I don't believe you can get in without it, or complete the main story quest required to get into Brimstone. So but we should be easily able to get to level 60 without going there. And I think actually going there earlier than 60 would probably be suicidal, to say the least. So, like I said, really looking forward to the next couple of videos to see how things go. Hopefully, as things are standing right now, there doesn't seem to be any problems, and should be kind of smooth sailing if we don't overpull